All right, we're back. Round two. Tony Markika, Karen Monda, Chris Hadaway, Chris from the Dirty Oar. Hey, welcome back. Thanks for joining us today. It has been a challenge to get here, but we finally made it.
Yes.
You made it.
I made it.
Okay.
Yes. There were a lot of cops out there, but I made it.
So what Karen said, can I just tell you how frustrating it was to have all the cops on the road today? Hey, they're out there keeping everybody safe. We're thankful for them, even when they challenge us and make us follow the rules. So we're thankful for all those cops that are out there working hard today in the rain and the hot, dealing with all the traffic that they are. But to get this started off, we want to jump right into the Dirty Oar because there's some amazing things happening. We want to make sure that you're connected. And we also want to say thank you so much for all of your sponsorship and all that you do for us. Chris, can you kick us off with the beer of the day?
Yes, thank you, Chris. We are doing today for the beer of the week, the Red Dragon. This is our newest red ale. If anybody has been in before, we used to have the Ben Real Red Ale. This is very similar, but just a new twist on that one. It's got a nice caramel character to it. It's got Simcoe hops for a nice light piney freshness and a nice clean and crisp finish. So it's a great drinker no matter what you're doing. Nice middle malt beer.
Red Dragon. So Crystal and I, my wife, we go way back. But before I met her, her mom has this great story of the kimono dragon. And she was drinking a mixed red drink and probably partaked a little bit more than she should have and was spitting red everywhere. So we don't let Crystal drink anything with red anymore.
Not good.
No. Well, and I didn't have to deal with that one, so it was not good for Crystal's mom, but it's a hilarious a little story. If you find us at the Dirty Oar, make sure you stop by and you ask what that story is. We'll be happy to share it with you, and we'll all laugh about it. Chris, what's the address to the Dirty Oar, and how can we get our friends out there?
We are located at 329 King Street, which is State Road 520, right coming through. We are a block off of US 1 if you're heading east towards Cocoa Beach in Cocoa.
And 1 block south, I always put this plug out there, 1 block south of Peachtree. Come on, guys, you know about the best little oar house in Cocoa. You got to stop by. Hey, there's a big event coming up to celebrate the Dirty Oar. Tell us about that.
Yes, sir. We got rained out of our original anniversary party, which was supposed to happen September 1st, but Dorian came by. So we're doing our reboot party on the 10th of November.
10th of November. So what a great day to come out, see the new facility that they've set up there. They've made it really nice for everybody to come enjoy. There's a point to where it's a family-friendly location.
Yes, we are family and dog-friendly all day, every day.
Dog-friendly. So bring your canines, whoever you got, as long as they're obedient. We don't want any crazy dogs out there. But please, even if they're not a therapy dog or a service animal, they are welcome as long as they're well-behaved and on a leash. A leash.
Yep,
so,
correct.
Well, we are so thankful for you.
In case anybody's wondering, Doug is out of town. Yes, thank you very much, Chris. But, you know, we always get started when Doug's not here, and we always forget to say that Doug hasn't joined us. So, hey, babe, I see you're on. He is in Boston right now. He just got there about 3 o'clock this afternoon and sat in traffic for 3 hours, that lovely Boston traffic. He's going to be speaking at a conference this week out there and helping cops, and so we're excited you're on with us.
Absolutely, and while Doug's out there, I do want to let everybody know that comes in contact with Doug. Be gentle with him. His old age is catching up to him. Oh. He's a little fragile. We love him, and he is still an athlete. His heart is strong. His mind is strong. His body, he just needs Just say a prayer or two for Doug. Yeah. We can always lift him up when he's out traveling away from the family.
Yeah, he hurt his back pretty bad a couple nights ago. And
you see what he said?
Doug said, "Kiss my ass." Yeah, that's Doug. I love that guy. And if you were out and about this weekend, you were able to see us. How did we do with the motorcycle?
Well, I mean, it was an amazing event. MFC Central Florida held an incredible fundraising event for us this weekend on Saturday, and we had motorcycles come up from Palm Beach, from Tampa, just all over Florida. They did an incredible ride. The first stop was at the Dirty Oar, and it looked like a blast there. I wished I would have been there. And then Rising Tide, Jonathan's Pub, and Lou's Blue. So thank you to all of you guys who were involved in that, all the riders that came out. It was an incredible event. We have some pictures there. We just had such a blast. And we're so grateful to MFC, which stands for Military Firefighters and Cops. We're so grateful to them for everything that they have done for us to raise money for us. It was a lot of fun with a live auction.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, there's a few people from this local area, but if you're looking at that picture with us on Facebook on Survive First, you can actually see there was a great turnout, and those people aren't from just Brevard County.
Yeah.
They're all over Florida that came and poured themselves out to help us raise money for Survive First.
Yeah.
So what a great day.
Yeah, it was. So thank you so much. And again, Chris and Dirty Oar and all of the other pubs and restaurants that participated, thank you so much from us, as well as I know all first responders, because all the money that was raised at this event is going to go to Survive First so that we can help first responders and their families in need of mental health support.
Absolutely. And there's always a good story there. So please, again, stop by the Dirty Oar, see us, hang out with us, say hi to Chris, and I know Paul will be back soon.
Thursday. Yeah, Paul will be back on Thursday. We can't wait to have him back.
Absolutely. And Ozzy's around there. When I was heading down to Cocoa Village on Saturday, I saw Ozzy pop out, and I was like, Ozzy, but I think he missed me. But it's always good to see the group. It's a great place, and we're so thankful for all that y'all do. So the next transition, and this is something that we like to highlight in the first part of the segment, is we're holding strong with 163
Yep.
officers that have given their life to lost their life to suicide, and that's hard for me. That's hard for all of us. It impacts so many families, so many agencies across the United States, and we just want to pause for a quick 3 seconds. Remember those people and help us to move past and draw all the awareness that we can to find help. So I'll keep the time quick, 3 seconds. And 3 seconds is an eternity, but it's not a lifetime of loss.
You know, we had a lot of great conversation with the men and women that were at the fundraiser on Saturday, and they all come from a background, whether they're family or whether they themselves are first responders, right now or retired. And it's amazing when we were talking to them about what we did and how we supported first responders, you could see the impact on them. Many of them had their own stories about how they've struggled before, and so I think just the fact that we're out here and we're getting the word out there, and we're here every other week, sometimes every week, and that you guys are joining us every week. You are helping us to spread the word by sharing the podcast on your pages, sharing Survive First on your pages. For every person that comes to our Facebook page, that visits our website, that goes to our Instagram page, we are potentially saving a life. So thank you to all.
Absolutely. I wish Doug could be here to share his experience over this weekend with the phone call that he received. But it was because he was available just to have a conversation that he was able to help somebody. And I don't want to get too far into that, but it's happening as we speak. So while you're following along with us, if you'd like us, love us, share us on Facebook, text somebody, go through your Rolodex, tell them to follow along, be a part of this conversation. We actually have it up live here so we can see what the comments are, and it can be an interactive conversation. We do this because we want to engage you, and we want to get your feedback and see how we can better serve you and how we can serve each other together. So there's some other things that we have coming up through Survive First. Karen, can you tell us what's coming up next?
I can. You always do this to me, and I have to go through my head really quick.
It's because your voice is so clear. Like, I'm mumbly and nasally, and you're so clear. So give them a clear message.
So on November 9th, there is the 321 Represent 5K that's being put on by IAP. They have us as a beneficiary, Brevard Schools Foundation, and Canine Alive. Have you?
I'm not familiar with Canine Alive, Tony.
Okay. Nope.
No.
I think that's what it's called. I'm sorry if I'm not getting it right. But that's on November 9th. You can go through and sign up for that. That could be a great way to start preparing for our 5K January 4th, which is the amazing Run for Responders 5K. I will say this, it is October, and I keep putting this out there. Right now, the early registration fee is $25. It's 20 for first responders, but $25 for everyone else. That fee will increase to $30 as of October 29th. So this is the absolute last month you can get in for that early registration fee. So you know you're going to do it. You know, as soon as those medals come out, we put those up there just like the last time, that you're going to jump right in and say, I've got to come back out there. It was a great time. So you may as well get in right now. Go to Run Sign Up, type in Run for Responders 5K, and register today. It is such a great time, and we are so excited for this event.
You don't have to run.
No.
You can walk.
No.
You'll just come out and fellowship with us. It will be a fun time. The weather was great last year. It'll be great this year. And I'm telling you, that medallion, that badge that you get is absolutely worth it. So if you're missing that, just sign up like Karen said. We're trying to help you out. We want you to be a part, and know that those proceeds go right back into Survive First to help in the local and really nationwide first responders. So
absolutely.
And then actually this Saturday, you can actually come by the Survive First tent, and that will be at the Space Coast Police K9 competition happening at Cocoa High School. That's 2001 Tiger Trail. If you're local, if you want to travel from around Florida, that event starts at 1 p.m. and will last until 7. Tony will have a big job that day.
I will, like I did last year.
Absolutely.
That was fun watching you get taken down by that dog.
It was pretty fun. Stop mentioning that. I'm hoping people will forget it by this year.
I'll never forget it.
We had a great time last year, and last year was our first one. So here we're building upon that, and we got somewhere around 35 dogs this time, almost 10 more than what we had last year. Wow. So it's going to be a pretty big event. Kids, event's free.
Absolutely, so, free to everybody.
So come out. We hope to see you guys there. I'll be one of the ones in the bite suit, so you guys will get to watch fastest and hardest hitting dogs.
Yeah, and it'll be just overall the whole competition is going to be great. But Survive First will have a tent set up there. You can come by. You can talk to Doug and Karen. And see everybody else that's involved with that, and say hi to a first responder. Show your support there again, but it's free to the family. So if you need to get out of the house, come out, see us at that time, and stop by the Survive First tent.
These dogs are cool.
Amazing.
I mean, they fly through the air. I couldn't believe. I really did. I had a blast watching you,
take all that
abuse. And there was one that
I believe everybody did.
There was one that would not let go of you.
Yeah,
you had to go. I mean, it was looking.
It was awesome.
It was
we had
looking
to go
a little
behind the scenes
crazy.
for that one.
Yeah.
But no, it's definitely a fun event. I did K9 for 8 years, and it's good to be able to be part of something like that and to get that. So please come out and visit us.
All right, hey, we're going to take a quick break. We're getting ready to get really deep into this. I hope you remember where we were at last week. Share this post. Share it with somebody. Tell them to chime in and watch what we got going on here. Chris Hadaway, Caramonda, Tony Marquica, Chris from Dirty Ore, thank you so much, and we will see you in just a minute.
Thank you, Chris.
Are you new to a leadership position? Are you finding it hard to deal with certain personalities in a workplace? Maybe you're trying to reshape your organizational culture to increase your retention, your readiness, as well as your performance of your individuals on your team. Hi, I'm Stephon Williams with Highbowl Leadership and Development Training. I welcome you to contact me to kind of explore some things that we can do to help you with your people needs. We're in the business of human capital performance on the professional side as well as the personal side. If you're looking for a motivational speaker to open up your convention, contact StephonWilliams.com. If you're looking for someone that's going to help you redefine your own personal leadership style, contact StephonWilliams.com. If you're just looking to take your team to the next level, contact StephanWilliams.com, and that is STEPHON Williams.com. Habu Leadership Development Training. We look forward to seeing, hearing, and working with you.
You're listening to Space Coast Podcast, home of the greatest podcasts on the Space Coast. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor or having your own show, email us at spacecoastpodcast@hotmail.com.
Space Coast Podcast.
Talk hard!
Hey, this is Trisha Schmalhofer, hostess of BAM, Badasses, Alchemists, and Mystics. This podcast is all about seeking knowledge, talking to experts, changing perspectives, channeling wisdom, and shifting consciousness. Listen as we invite a different badass guest each time from a variety of career fields who are living their purpose, spreading light, giving strength and hope, and changing lives every day. We stream live on Facebook, so like our page, interact with us, and watch the behind-the-scenes action. Find BAM, Badasses, Alchemists, and Mystics on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts under Space Coast Podcast Network. BAM!
Well, I like that.
All right, we are back. We are back. And let me tell you, we have had a challenge to get to this day. The day arrived with no problems. Doug and Karen had a great weekend. We were all around. We got to hang out with some really cool people, have a great breakfast yesterday. Doug got on the airplane, and then we got to like the last 2 hours, and it was everything that we could do to make it to this place. So there was a traffic jam that sent Karen way around. We actually got started just a little bit later. I'm running around with a chicken with my head cut off, but we have made it to right now. So stress-free place, great conversation getting ready to kick off. We're so happy that you're here. Woosah, woosah, woosah. But last week we had Doug here, and he's still with us. He's actually he's tuned in on Facebook. So if you throw something out there, he can actually respond. And then Tony was a part of the conversation. And so this is part 2 to really go over what Tony and what the people that were surrounding Doug were going through to get help and actually to break ground. And that's probably the best way to say it is nobody else, no other agencies. I mean, we didn't even have a policy set up to help our first responder, help our law enforcement officer at that time to get help. So immediately the conversation was like, hey, what do we do? What does that look like? And it developed, and then we were able to go back and write policies and everything else for that.
And let me just say this. Were you a sergeant then?
Yes, I was a sergeant. Okay.
Tony is now a lieutenant right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, Tony. Tony's now a lieutenant for Cocoa Police Department. So this is fantastic that you're here because you are part of the decision-making process now for the police department. And so you being here is just so important for everybody out there to see, for any admin out there who might be watching to see that you are here because you learned as a sergeant, and now you're in a position where you are supervising and making decisions on how to help these guys. So thank you so much, Tony. I mean, you're a dear friend of ours, always will be, but even if we didn't know you that well, I know you would be here because of your character. Right,
and it's also good because Doug and I were friends, so this first incident really was, hit home.
Yeah.
And I don't know, and you could relate to Chris. I mean, in the past, you didn't think like lieutenants, sergeant wise. I don't know if they were really, and I'm not speaking for everybody, but at least from what I could see is that sometimes it feels like there's a disconnect between road officers all the way up to the lieutenants because they're usually busy doing admin stuff.
Right.
And whatnot.
The mission for each person is different.
You're right. Every job comes with a different mission, and they got to handle certain things. Right. This definitely opened my eyes to where you want to be. Not only do you want your sergeant, your corporal out there with your troops, but it also opens my eyes as an administrator with the agency to see officers too and how they're acting, how they're behaving. I like to personally talk with all of my crew. I mean, there's some roll calls I miss because I just can't be there. Some roll calls I'm in there, and we engage into, if we conduct business, and then we do, we'll have fun. We like to joke around. I like to joke around. I like to make things fun. I like to make things happy. I want people to enjoy coming to our agency to work. And even with new people, I mean, you got to get to know them. You got to get to know whatever it is that they're willing to give you, so that if something does go, that they're not acting the way that they're supposed, or the way they were acting in the beginning, right?
Right, and part of the changing times, each person, each generation communicates differently. We were blessed to know that Doug, was fully invested, and we, in law enforcement, it's kind of an ongoing joke that, they got it bad, they want to be that cop, they're running and gunning and having a good time, but that allows us to know where they're at in their career and what's going on, and it makes them a little more vocal and visual to us.
Right.
So with the officers that are more reserved and having to learn that in this new generation, texting and watching their social media posts can even be more value to us. And that's not always easy for us. I mean, because some of us, we're not very internet savvy or Facebook savvy or whatever that looks like. So, consider these things as we're having these conversations that, there's a different line of approach for absolutely every person that you're going to interact with. And I think that's what you were saying, and we say, joking around during roll call, but that's actually team building time. It's valuable,
Sure.
Well, and I think that you getting to know your officers very well, that's just showing leadership.
Yes, absolutely.
It's so important to have those leadership qualities when you are not getting to know your officers or not getting to know your firefighters, and you're just in the back.
You're just in the background. You're just a name to them. You're not You're not Tony. You're not, whoever it may be. You're just lieutenant, right? Sitting in the back. And they automatically think, so there was, I wouldn't say all lieutenants I had. There was a couple lieutenants where I was just like, all right, don't bother him because we're not supposed to bother him. And I tell even all my new people because I still conduct training for the brand new people that go through orientation.
Right.
And I constantly, here's my cell phone number. If you have any questions on anything, don't hesitate to call me. But back when I started, that was, no, you didn't do that. You went to the sergeant.
And I can actually speak to that. So when I started at the agency 7 years ago, and I was in that seat, in the new guy's seat, where I didn't know anything. The F&G is what we call it. When we're that new guy, and you show up, and it's the first couple weeks of training, and you see Tony Marquica completely like dressed out, and he's a big, strong guy, and he's completely squared away and neat, and you're like, oh shit, I can't talk to him. Like, he's going to be my trainer. How am I going to learn anything? Because this guy's amazing, and who am I? I'm not even a cop yet. And I'm not.
But thank you very much.
I'm not blowing you up. But here's how humble this whole entire group has been. That they've all made themselves available. They've always enhanced the learning and the training, and been there to answer questions, to make you feel a part of the family and the team.
Sure.
Which built a huge value in me.
Right. And I think especially in smaller agencies, and like I said, I can only speak for our agency and no one else's. And I also see it in some other agencies that are similar to us. Even with their chiefs, they're really out there with their people. They talk to their people. They comment on their Facebooks. I saw one earlier today, reference to our canine competition, which I thought was pretty neat. So being involved into your
makes
new
a big
people,
difference.
it makes a huge difference. We're more like we're more like a family here. What do? We fight, we bicker, we yell at each other, and then we say, okay, don't do it again, and okay, no problem, and that's it. And then
we love the hell out of each other.
Right.
Well, and look at, hi, Branda. Branda put a great comment up there. She said, and listen as a supervisor to other officers who have concerns. Just by listening, even to a concern that may not really have anything to do with mental health, right? Just by listening and watching body language and that nonverbal communication, you may pick up on something as a supervisor that is so important. And so it's that mindset shift for admin now, which I think we're beginning to see. You're talking about it, and we're starting to see that is just critical to helping our men and women out there.
Right. And there's a couple now, and I'm not going to mention any other names, but they need help. And as soon as you get wind of that, some of them have so much pride, they won't ask.
Right.
So you get wind of it, and you're like, all right, for him, in order to come and do this dangerous job,
right,
we have to make sure that his mind's in the right place, right?
Right.
So let's try to help him whatever way we could help him.
Right.
I mean,
so when I had came to the agency, Doug was actually in a transition point. And when he came back to work the first time, it was
So you missed the whole first part.
I missed part one and was there for part two.
Okay.
Yep.
And then as part two was there, I was actually deployed and coming back into his transition back in. So when Doug actually walked in, and I was actually on that first squad and going through FTO, and I said, "Hi, I'm Chris," and he goes, "Oh, I'm Doug Monda." I love that.
Yeah.
That's my best impression
Mondo.
of Doug. I'm Doug Mondo.
Yeah, Mondo. He kept saying Mondo because that's what they called him on the streets.
Listen,
Mondo.
I've been called Mondo in a meeting at school.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
they
how
know.
they call it. That's how
That makes you a
call him.
protected person too.
They didn't even know where's Mondo. Where's Mondo?
Yeah.
Everybody would ask where Mondo was.
So Doug, we're missing you. But Doug said, "Oh, you call me Doug. I don't go by that last name. That last name crap. What's your name?" I said, "I already told you I'm Chris." It was the Jedi mind trick. But from that very first moment, we didn't shake hands. We hugged.
Yeah.
And it was an immediate embrace.
Oh,
and
Doug's always been a family guy.
Absolutely.
He's always been.
Absolutely.
He's always, even from the beginning, we say goodbye, we give each other a hug, we tell each other we love them. I mean, always from the beginning. I mean, we were really close. We did everything together. We would go out. We'd go out to dinners together. We'd go to the house. We'd do Halloween parties and whatnot. So it was.
All right, so let's roll up the sleeves. So when that changed, when that was no longer the case,
right?
Like, and you were, last week you said, well, he would cuss at you in the halls every time you saw him.
He hated me,
and he hated you, right? So what was that in turn for you? What is that process of thought like? How can you help Doug?
Okay, so thinking back on it now, so when he would say that he would literally, just the way he was talking to me, I knew that he'd hate me. We stopped hanging out together. And I don't know if he was just disappointed in me or he was just trying to push me away. Learning from what I think I know now, he was pushing me away because that's the type of behavior that this illness, it portrays, right? So, and it was kind of hard to get close to him no matter what I did and try to get close. It was just to be, he pushed me so far away where I was just, enough. I had enough. There's nothing I could do anymore.
Well, what happens is you push the people away that care about you the most and that love you the most. And really what was happening with him is he was pushing you away, pushing me away, pushing everybody the kids away, pushing everyone away. And in the process, making other friends that were helping him self-destruct.
Not good for his...
And whether they were good for him or not, it was part of his self-destruction. He wasn't looking at anyone that he came across as, you're a new friend. I'm going to push all of my friends away, and I'm going to go to a whole new realm where nobody knows me and
start all over.
Right. But really he was
hurting.
He was trying to self-destruct.
Right, and he was hurting because he would tell Brenda upstairs in CID how much I'm tired of Tony. He's changed, and he would just he would console on her and just talk bash me.
So what was the point where you said, F it, I can't take this anymore for Doug's sake, that now there's got to be, I got to intervene? Where does the intervention come?
There was probably a good, and Doug, correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say there was a couple years in there where Doug and we no longer hung out, we no longer talked. I mean, it was just like when we would see him, it would just be like work stuff, and even then he'd just be like, whatever, he just, I don't care what you say, and then eventually when things came out, I want to say that it was when all things popped up, it was on a rappel tower, and he had a bullet in his belt, remember?
Right.
And then he mentioned to somebody who, thank goodness, thought it was a concern, and they came and brought it to somebody's attention, and we were like, holy shit, okay, this is going to be the final stuff. This is going to be, he needs help.
Right.
What do we do? Right. And then it went from there.
So,
did he say something?
So I can never hate Tony. That's true.
No name mentioning.
Oh, stop it. Yeah, we're not doing that.
All right. So
but that's not, and Doug, that was, it was all of it. It was all of it put together, and, I think we realized that, the way your mentality was at that time, it wasn't you. That wasn't the Doug Monda I first met with. That wasn't the Doug Monda we began law enforcement together. That wasn't the Doug Monda when we started SWAT together.
Well, and if you think about it, then you get to the point where y'all jumped in to help, and he went to treatment, and he came back. And I think, Chris, this was a little bit before you came back from your duty.
Right.
But y'all were coming over every Sunday. We were having Sunday fun day on the beach at our house. Y'all would break into our house while we were at church, and and all of that, and get everything ready.
Right.
And then that lasted for a few months.
I think it was a couple summers, right?
No, not even. No, not even one summer, and then it slowly began to unravel again.
Right.
And so.
And I couldn't figure that turning point. Because you guys were together then, so you probably would have seen it a lot faster before I did. But even then, I remember going to Caleb and going, "Listen, Doug's spinning out of control again. This is not good. It's going to happen all over again."
Yeah, it was, I would say maybe 5-6 months when he was home and came back to work that, things were all right.
Right.
But probably by the 5th or 6th month, things started to kind of spiral out of control again. And I think what I learned from that, and you may agree as well, is once again, we didn't really jump right on it.
Right. And
you have to kind of jump right on it when you notice something. And so what it taught me was, when you see something, you have to say something. You can't be afraid to say something because you feel like it's going to push that person over the edge, or it's going to drive that person to suicide, or to push you away. They're going to push you away if they're going to push you away. Right. It's you have to say something. And so many times we all are afraid to say something because we don't want to hurt them, or we don't want to anger them. We don't want to push them over the edge. But that really is the wrong thing to do, because in doing that, you're basically saying to them, I don't care. Right.
But I think on the second half too, I think I was more forward with him as well. Mm-hmm. Because I remember when Doug and I were having a conversation, I said, "Dude, you're fucking up again." Yeah. And I said, "It's not right." Because I wasn't gonna be tippy-toeing anymore, because it was just like, all right, dude, we gotta fix this.
I just spent 14 hours in the car with you. You better
right. So and not only that, but it's just like I remember him telling me something in the car, and he was like, that it was okay, and I'm like, no, Doug, that type of behavior is not okay. You're fucking up. Yeah. You need to start straightening up and start. Let's do this. We're here for you. Absolutely. We're all here for you.
Absolutely. Hey, let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Share and like this. Let everybody know that we're on here. Survive First. Karen, Tony, and Chris.
Steven.
Well, yes, Christopher.
What are you doing?
I am scribing down some ideas for the next podcast of the Black Dog Confessional.
Oh, Mitzi had spoke of that. She said it is rather wonderful.
Well, we tried to succeed, Christopher. We tried to succeed. We're talking about all the proper etiquette techniques that we can this week.
Do you think everyone is listening?
I definitely believe so, Christopher.
Well, if they're not, they better get on their game!
Are you in the market for a new home? Perhaps you need to sell your old home and downsize or relocate. Hey there, my name is Jesse Hall with eXp Realty. and I offer professional real estate services right here on the Space Coast. Give me a call, 321-877-8737 for all of your real estate needs. Again, 321-877-8737 for all of your real estate needs. Buy, sell, invest with the best. Find out more at 321-buysellinvest.com.
All right, so we are back, and we are all standing because this is like the gloves are off. We're ready to get right into this.
My ass just hurted.
Oh,
that's
it's
all.
hot and sweaty. That's the way I like
Hurted is not a word.
Well, okay, that's your teacher and you.
All right, so Karen's going to jump back into this, and so Tony was just talking about where he was at with Doug and some pretty deep discussion there. So Karen was at a point where she wanted to talk about some of the conversation and things that she had to do to help get Doug help.
Well, first of all, I'm just reading something now. Oh, they're bringing up clowns now.
Is that Levine?
That's Levine.
That's Levine.
Yeah,
that's why.
Yeah.
That's
no
Levine.
clowns.
It is, Branda. It's hard to take breaks when we're in the middle of a serious talk, but we have to. But we're right back into it. So we were just talking about how when we left about how you can't be afraid to say something, and I was telling Tony and Chris that when we got really to the thick of things,
right,
there were times that I had to say some things to Doug that
he didn't want to hear.
He definitely didn't want to hear, but I knew were hurtful.
Right.
Not that I was trying to be hurtful, though sometimes I was mad, so maybe I
Not
was.
like I hate you, SOB.
I may have said that a couple times too, but
we all might have said that, though.
but
I never said that, Doug. I love you.
There were times.
I got you.
There were times that I had to say some things that still to this day, I say, wow, I can't believe I said those things. But Doug actually tells me, thank you. Thank you for saying those things, because he needed to hear those things.
To hear the truth, right?
He needed to hear the truth.
And your feelings, too.
Yes.
Not just all about
right.
him.
And the amazing thing about that is that when we did, because there was a period of time where we split up,
right,
and when we did reconcile, all those things that I said to him about how he made me feel, and really how much I was hurting for him as well. It wasn't all about me, really. It was half of it was about him, watching him hurt and go through everything and trying to figure out how do we all collectively, because we were all trying to figure out toiggether,
and
how do
everybody
we
was
help
making
him.
phone calls to everybody, say, look, this is what's going on now. This is what can we do? Right.
And so I think you're so dumb, babe. He says, hell no. I think
babe.
Babe.
I got you, babe.
I think that by him hearing that, he was able to validate my feelings when we reconciled, and that enabled us to begin to learn to communicate, which in turn, by us communicating and beginning to heal, it began to heal his other relationships, like with you and the kids, and communicate better with them.
Okay, so you think because he cared about you so much that he cared about your feelings, and that's what made him realize, okay, well, if maybe it might be everybody else too.
That he cares about everybody else.
Yeah, everybody else too, and say, okay, listen.
And look what I'm losing.
Right.
I mean, we talk about this quite a bit. We have come so far, and so we can really go back and talk about everything that happened.
Right.
And
because it's already out there and open.
Right. We talk about it. It's part of our story, and there's no animosity. We're totally healed. We have an incredible relationship, amount of love for each other, and so I lost my train of thought.
Why?
That's how much I love you, babe.
I
started thinking about it.
Hey, babe.
Hey, babe. Hey, so what it really comes down to in this whole process is, and I hate this word, and I hate to even throw it out there, but the word is integrity. You know, to get to the point of the transition, and hey, you know, every class that I've ever been in, and when they want to teach and they want to talk about what's integrity, and everybody has their own interpretation of integrity, and, you know, it's kind of like an opinion of integrity. They all stink, and, you know, they're like a butthole or whatever, but here's what it is. When you get to that point, I just a little brief rabbit hole. Every quarter I go and I speak at probation and parole. And I ask each probation person to give me something to take back to make me grow, to help the officers grow and the chief, and to kind of pass that along through the law enforcement world. And I had this one guy, he actually gave me like this golden nugget. And he said, what did he say? He said, professional courtesy. And I said, well, professional courtesy, you got to give me a little more than that. What does that even look like? And he goes, well, you know, when you're out on a call and everything is going right, and then that one officer that's just a jerk, and he escalates everybody, and he really changes the tone of the whole call, then, like, can you just ask him to leave? Like, and this guy's telling me, I've never had a bad experience with law enforcement, even though I'm on felony probation. And he said, can you make that go away? And I thought to myself, wow, now that you've given that to me, that's kind of my integrity to stand up and say something. And then, you know, as this whole conversation has evolved, like, if you are the one that is the friend or the partner of the person in crisis, it's your integrity. Listen, friend, listen, brother, listen, sister, let me say this clearly. Go and intervene and make a standpoint, a strong, you know, I mean, get someone like Tony. I don't know, whatever that looks like. But tell them, listen, I am intervening here. You can no longer go on this path, and you have to change. We have to change together, and you draw in. And if you're too afraid, or you don't have the dialogue with your command staff, with your mid-level supervisors, and this is whatever world. And listen, I would rather lose my job because I spoke up and I got somebody help than to allow one of my brothers or sisters to complete suicide or to hurt themselves or somebody else because of the hole that they're in, than to speak up and just say the words. The words don't hurt you, right? They're not physical bullets coming out at you. But I promise you, if you don't stand up and you don't, and I hate that word again, integrity. Your integrity says speak up.
So let me ask, and I'm going to ask this in a couple of different occasions, and you may be able to answer with just one word. If Cocoa PD would not have intervened when they did, and they would not have, you know, I know we talked about how Baker acting Doug was wrong. Not the right way to go about it. But had they not done that at the time, because they didn't have any other better solution at the time.
We had to buy time to figure out what was the right way.
Where do you think Doug would be today?
Oh, we know.
Yeah, we know. Oh, it wouldn't have been good.
He would be dead.
Oh, yeah, I said you could probably answer in one word. And then after his treatment, when he came back and he relapsed, where do you think, if we would have all the, you know, just the crap that we say we went through, if we would have all turned our backs and said, I can't do this anymore. You are completely on your own. Right. Where do you think he would be today?
Same way.
I agree.
Absolutely.
So it is one of the, well, it really is the biggest thing that Doug says all the time when we talk, and I think that's where I kind of got off topic when I was saying we talk all the time about what people did, what we went through, what he went through with his friends and his family, and what everybody did for him. And he has this, you know, he feels badly about everything that he put everyone through, though none of us hold that against him, right?
Of course not. Not at all.
You're right.
None of us hold that against him.
I think that we all learned through this journey that Doug went through that, you know, so kind of I kind of thank him, because now I know, I feel like I could be a better supervisor.
You know better.
Yeah. I know better. I've learned a lot, and I believe that he did, you did, Karen, and Chris, you did as well.
Absolutely.
And so, like I said, getting out to know your crew, your officers out there. It gives us stuff to look for, and to jump on it a lot sooner than we did, and also do it the correct way.
Right. And he says, if it wasn't for the people that stood by his side and told him, hey, you're screwing. I can't say it on air.
You were saying it before.
I know, but I can't say it on air. That if it wasn't for the people saying you're screwing up, I love you, and getting mad at him, he wouldn't be where he's at today.
Right. I strongly agree with that. I do.
There's been a whole lot of different things to transpire since that was all brought to our light, and that has forced people to change, and policies and procedures to change. And what a great opportunity. Doug has actually been traveling around the United States to see what other agencies are doing. So there's a ton of information there. You can actually, if you need a guide to say, hey, what is someone doing? What's an agency doing? Doug can kind of guide you through that process. We're here to take that call and say, hey, you want to change it? Well, listen, we'll actually be the champions of that, and we'll put you into some policy language and everything else to help guide and facilitate that. And that doesn't just speak to law enforcement, but also firefighters, because that's kind of the gap that, I always feel like, let's find a brother or sister that's in that world to come in here and talk about it with us. There's no more secrets. So today, absolutely, everybody's integrity is at a different level, because we're completely in this conversation.
Right.
This has been the 4th or the 5th time that we've actually came to talk about this, and you should be sharing it with somebody else.
Right.
You should be having the conversation with somebody else. And when you identify that person in your agency, even if that person is you got to ask for help.
Right.
Tag somebody else in. It's like WWE from like the 1990s all over again. I'm here for you, brother.
Right, and no one's going to call you a sissy or whatever.
No.
Now they're going to be like, okay, listen, he's asking for help. Let's do the right thing. Let's give him some help.
Let me tell you, the bravest thing that someone can do is reach out for help when they are struggling.
Sure.
You talked a little bit about how we received a phone call the other night, and not to get into too much detail, but it was not from our hometown.
Right.
It was in a completely different part of the country. We were sleeping. The phone rang. Doug picked up, and it was like nothing. Just waking up and having a conversation and
it was healing for both. It was healing for the caller and for Doug too.
Yes.
I mean, he's on his journey, and he's helping people, even if that means at midnight or 2 o'clock.
Well, look at all the people that he's reaching to now. Like he's constantly saying, like he travels all over, and he's got people calling from other states, calling him in the middle of the night. So, and that right there is probably therapeutic for him.
Yes.
They always say the best way to learn something, a skill or whatever, is to teach that to somebody else. Because you learn it again as you're teaching it.
Well, and even same for myself, whenever we have a first responder that calls for help.
Right.
After Doug gets to know them and they talk for a while, one of the first things he asks is, are you married or do you have a significant other? And if they do, he immediately says, this is my wife's phone number.
Because he knows what you went through.
Yes, and he's very open about it. He says, I put her through hell, and she stuck by my side, never turned her back on me.
Not only did you stick to his side, you learned what his problems were.
Yes.
You researched everything.
Yes.
You're on your own.
Yes.
You did that.
That was in the beginning. I mean,
but that's still something that if you didn't do that, you think that you would have been sticking around going through all that shit?
No, it's so important for the spouse or any loved one, parents.
Right.
How hard is this when your child is going through something like this? It's very hard to understand, because what we see is the a-hole coming out.
And we're the protectors. We're not supposed to be vulnerable to this either.
Right. So we see the anger coming out, and it appears as though it's coming toward us, and that's not really what it is. It's an anger inside that they just can't contain, and it's not that they're angry at us. They're angry at themselves or angry at the world, and so it is so important if you're going to be able to support that person in this whole journey that you're going to help them get through. It's so important that you understand as best you can what they're going through.
Yeah.
So Doug says you're one of a kind. So
I love you, babe.
Hey, real quick, I got to send out a shout out to my boy Robert Chadwick. I love that guy. He's doing amazing things. He's just taking the next step in his life and his career. I'm so proud of him. And then Crystal reached out and she said, if you're a family member and you're seeing self-destructive behavior and have concerns, what do you do? Well, first of all, if you're able to have that conversation, like, can Karen have that conversation with Doug? Yes, now she can. She had to say those hard things. That close-knit unit, that bond that you have with the families of first responders, hopefully you've developed a line of communication that you can actually reach out and say, hey, I need help.
And we've helped spouses. We've had spouses that have actually been the first ones to reach out. Many times the spouses have reached out to us the first time, and together Doug and I talk them through what could be going on,
right.
but how to communicate and every time we've talked to the spouse, they've been able to get them to call us,
right.
Get their spouse to call,
right.
not to call us, to call Doug,
right.
and then just the wheels start turning.
Yeah.
So yes, that's definitely, if you don't feel like you can talk to your spouse or you can talk to your loved one, and I get it, it's nerve-wracking.
Right.
It's
right.
when you are in that situation, it's nerve-wracking. It just drains you, and it scares you, and it makes you sad, and you just don't know what to say. But in that situation, reach out to someone, whether it is us, whether it's your own therapist, whether it's another organization that helps first responders. There are so many out there that are willing to help you and guide you through it.
Can I jump in? There's something, when you were talking before about Doug's behavior and how he was acting, right? He was lashing out and everything. Being parents myself, and not only that, but doing training, I learned this word behavior. So we act a certain way, right?
Right.
Behavior, right?
Right.
How do we correct that behavior? You know what I'm saying? If he's having that type of behavior, attitude, lashing out, how do we correct that? Do we get mad and throw another behavior that's going to clash with that? Or are we going to try to fix and correct that behavior like you did, reaching out, doing all your own research and trying to learn how to correct that behavior?
There is a time and a place. It's just like with children.
Sure, exactly.
There's a time and a place to be angry, if you will, to say what's truly on your mind. For lack of a better term, to reprimand, if you need to. And then there's a whole nother time and a place where you need to kind of shape the behavior.
And I'll say I like exactly what you started off with, Tony. You said I wasn't going to tippy-toe around. I was going to jump right in, and I was going to say, look, Doug, this is what we're doing.
This was the second time.
Yeah, the second time.
Because I didn't know how to handle the first time, but now we know, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Being straightforward and blunt. We're going to bump heads if we have to. There was one point I said, if you want to fight, we'll fight.
Let's fight. Let's right now, because I love you.
Right, exactly. Because it just got to that point where, I
told him that too.
Babe.
Hey, so there's
he'll tell you, I will not say
consider. Learn through these processes that we're talking about. Hit it straight on. Punch them right in the nose. One of my favorite sayings is, everybody needs to be punched in the face.
Right.
If it's time to go, punch them right in the face with some love, of some hard words, and say, I'm not going to tolerate this crap.
So you're talking about not physically punch them in the face.
Well, if it leads
so just
to that,
everybody's listening. I don't want people to be punching people in the face.
Tell them Chris Hadaway said, punch them in the face. I'm not saying that doesn't stand up in court. So don't punch anybody in the face. But go, get a new hobby by all means. But you have to stand up. You have to be the stronghold in the relationship. If your partner, if your battle buddy, if whoever that is, you got to stand up and say, look, I'm right here. You are here with our family, and we're not going to let you go, right?
I think that one of the difficult things when it comes to first responders, and I'm not sure if it's like this with firefighters, but maybe it is, because they're also
they see a lot of bad stuff too.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm so used to cops, and all my friends are law enforcement, but you guys are so used to being in control of
She just called us control freaks.
Well,
I think so.
Well, you are.
Okay.
But I mean, you are. You're in control of everything. When you, when a traffic light is down, you have to control traffic. When you're on a SWAT call out, you control everything. You control the perimeter. Is that what you call it?
Well, we control that. Domestic violence incident. When we go on this hot scene, we have to control that incident.
You have to control everything. So, and I would think that it's the same thing for fire. When they go on scene, they, they have to control their part. It's same with corrections.
Right.
They
Absolutely.
have to,
Exactly.
they have to
Absolutely.
control the population. I don't know what the terms are in the jail.
You're hitting it right on the head.
Okay.
You did good.
Yeah.
You did
I
good.
Okay,
You're doing
cool.
Good. Good job.
And then let me just go with dispatch because they're first responders as well.
They
they
control
Very, very
that
important.
whole
They
call.
are, yes, they
control
control everything.
Right.
So imagine when you begin to feel like you are out of control.
Right.
And you're so used to being in control of everything.
Do you think Doug felt that way? Because I felt that he thought he was in control.
He thought he was in control,
Right.
but he really was out of control. And so
We had to let him realize, right,
Yes.
that he was out of control. Until he realized, then he was acceptable to do what we needed or what we wanted him or needed him to do, right?
absolutely.
And we all had to make it acceptable that it was okay, that that's a norm, that we, as part of being part of the team, that you can submit to that.
Sure.
That you don't have to be in control, and we can help you.
Right.
But those are important things for spouses and families to have in the back of their mind, because you have to approach things. I believe you have to approach things a little bit differently in this situation with how you care for your first responder, with your plan of attack, if you will. I know. Well, we all know Doug. He's a hothead, right?
Very.
So. We're
I don't
Stubborn.
think so, Doug.
We're,
Doug, I don't
he's
think you're
stubborn.
Oh, my God.
We're polar
You're not helping
opposites.
here.
Keep going.
So when he's having a bad day, if something, whatever it is, whether it might be that the cat just pooped and it stinks really
Well, you talk
bad.
about a cat.
And
You
I
brought that up
know,
for a reason.
I did.
You
brought
brought
it
a
up
cat.
for a
That would
reason.
piss me off too.
And see, everybody's laughing.
I like Doug Levine's comment though.
Put
Shock collars on everybody.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
When he gets upset, sometimes I have to take a step back because I might initially get, it's like fight fire with fire.
Right.
But I know for Doug, that doesn't work. Because then, it just doesn't work. So I have to have a completely different approach with him. And then that brings him down. So you have to really know who it is that you're dealing with, and you have to understand their personality. And
That's right, Doug. I agree with you on that, brother.
that's right, Baby Cat.
Baby
Oh
cat.
Lord.
He named his sniper rifle Baby Cat. He's going to say he didn't, but he named it Baby Cat.
I
so
love it. Hey,
Doug, come on.
So we're getting ready to wrap this up. I want everybody to
gone
know.
already?
Yeah, it happens so
much more
so
stuff I want to
fast.
talk about.
I know. So hey, we're gonna be here in 2 weeks from today. I'm not sure if Doug will be able to be back with us. I know that's it's kind of up in the air right now.
He's always
However,
gone.
if you're in crisis or you need someone to talk to, please reach out and call somebody. If you choose not to call Survive First, there's a ton of other people and agencies out there to get some help. Reach out to your loved ones. Reach out to your brothers and your sisters that are working this hard job with you. Tell them how much you care about them. Say I love you. That 4-letter word is really hard, but get over it. Hug it out. I always say hug it out. I love, just that quick embrace of, we're here for each other. It's kind of like that coat of armor when we're walking around, and share this with everybody.
Yeah.
Tell somebody to tune in and get the message. And if you don't, just reach out to them and say, I love you. I'm here for you. I know things that this is maybe awkward. We haven't talked in a while, but I care about you. I'm concerned about you. And I just want to know how you are, brother, sister, whoever that is, and continue to connect.
Right. Just showing that you care. Even a smile at somebody, a wave at somebody. Hey, how are you today?
JT, right?
JT.
Oh, he's got the best smile
best
in the
smile.
business.
I love
I
it.
know.
So, but that's what I remember. That's a good story for Doug. I mean,
Right.
he saw JT smile at him, and that's what something switched.
Right. He knew that people still cared.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris Hadaway, Karen Monda, Tony Marquica, Doug will be back with us.
Can we hug it out?
Let's hug it out.
Why,
I
did we
love
fight?
this. Good. Come on.
Come
on.
here, Tony.
Let's hug it out.
Let's hug it out.
We love you guys.
Yeah. See you guys.